Hi, I'm Dom Griffin, I'm a film critic, and you're watching the Armchair Auteur. This is an ongoing video series I do where we talk about new movies, old movies, screenplay analysis, television series reviews, that sort of thing. So if you like movies, and you like movie-adjacent popular culture, and you like to see somebody pick those things apart, you're in the right place and you should consider subscribing. Today I'm reviewing the film Annette, which won an award at the Cannes Film Festival. It got like a standing ovation. It is a musical from director Leo Carax with music by Sparks, starring Adam Driver, Marion Cotillard, and that one guy from The Big Bang Theory who used to do a Nick Cage impression on Aaron Sorkin's ill-fated series Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
She'll get a lot closer to your stepbrother Phil. You'll come home and find your stepbrother Phil in the shower wearing your favorite felt hat.
Going into this movie, I've never seen a single Leo Carax film, not any of his short work. I haven't seen Holy Motors. I don't know anything about him. And I don't know very much about Sparks as a musical act. Like, I know that they have that Edgar Wright documentary that people seem to like, and I know that they are important to other people, but for me, they're just a humongous blind spot. I can't name a Sparks song. I don't know anything about them. So why would I review this movie if I have no predetermined interest in anything about the film? I'm not a guy that likes musicals. I'm not a guy that likes super weird art movies. I have my limits. So why? Well, as you know, I've reviewed like 70-something movies this year so far, and at least half of them I don't even remember. You know, I watch a lot of very boring, very milquetoast, very repetitive movies, and as a film critic, sometimes you just want something different. Even if it's not good, you just want to try something new. So I was like, this seems like it could be fun. I like Adam Driver quite a bit. I'll watch him in pretty much anything. I'll give it a shot. The plot of it is as follows. Adam Driver plays a famous stand-up comedian, and he falls in love with a singer played by Marion Cotillard. And the movie is mostly about their relationship together and also the ongoing relationship between Adam Driver's character and the audience that he performs for. Eventually they have a child, a bunch of other stuff happens, and then the movie goes completely left in like a very different direction than it seems like it's going to begin with. And also it's a rock opera the whole time, and it's very Brechtian. Like, there's just a lot of this kind of staginess to it and a lot of like weird storytelling choices. It's a musical, yes, but it's like this kind of musical. It is a pretty good-looking movie, I will say. There's some strong compositions, interesting framing. A lot of the actual set pieces and sequences themselves are staged very interestingly. It's the kind of movie that's pretty easy to get swallowed up in, even if it feels a little off-putting to you at first. Because the movie's very funny, there's some genuinely hilarious things that come out of the interactions between Adam Driver's character and sort of the Greek chorus of his audience, but there's also moments that are like really unsettling and uncomfortable and just weird. And honest to God, so much of why the movie works as much as it does work anyway is Adam Driver's performance. I feel a little bit weird having to heap praise on Adam Driver's performance in this movie for the simple reason that so much of what the movie seems interested in exploring is the way we as audiences treat like great, quote-unquote, great artists, specifically men, often specifically white men. And essentially the performance is so good because Adam Driver is sort of parodying and feeding into a lot of the iconography of how we treat these great men. It feels like it's sending up the way we exalt men for some of the silliest things. And Driver's performance as this comedian is laughably over the top. It sits somewhere between like Eminem and 8 Mile, and then like Bo Burnham's Inside, and also like a lot of Joaquin Phoenix Joker. The way the movie picks apart the way he presents himself to the public ends up feeding into sort of an interesting thematic thing that they do, exploring like him being like Me Too'd and how that affects his relationship and the way people perceive him and his performances and stuff like that. And they do it in a way that's like at once very funny. Like, it's just on the surface hilarious how like blunt they present him as like this hoity-toity like comedian who's like barely funny and somehow like a stage artist thing. There are these sort of toxic and shocking parts of his public persona that are like purposeful, and they're funny, but they're also like really uncomfortable. Like, there's just whole chunks of this movie that feel like that one Kanye song where he like casually muses about killing Kim.
Today I seriously thought about killing you. I contemplated.
Here's how I can describe Adam Driver's performance. In movies, in film acting, actors very often have relationships with the directors where, you know, they do multiple takes of trying to capture what the director wants for the scene, right? Like they're trying to read the words on the page that the director sees in his head and stuff, and that's the thing. And some directors will work with actors and allow them like an extra little bonus take just to do whatever. Like, hey, we've been doing it this exact same way over and over. Let me just try something crazy. Let me try something different. Let me try something self-indulgent. You know, that's a thing that happens. And I don't know if you guys remember Spike Lee's remake of Old Boy, but Josh Brolin famously had said in that film that Spike gave him a lot of room, like a lot of leeway when performing and exploring things with his character. And as such, that entire on-screen performance, this kind of comes down to Spike in the editing of the film as well and what takes they chose, but the whole performance feels like a movie comprised of bonus takes, of like just extra weird decisions that Brolin was making on set. And then it makes it seem like those are the only decisions he was making on set. Driver's performance in Annette works so well because it's like they set it to make his character feel that indulgent, over the top, and self-serious, and at times he just seems like a Max Landis rant.
He grows into the teenage version of himself.
But outside of his central performance, even though the movie does have other things going for it, like the songs are pretty good, Marion Cotillard is good, Simon Helberg's good, like there's other good things about the movie, but outside of Driver, outside of like this weird nucleus, the movie is so all over the place. It sort of feels like that one Bjork video where she's like on a train on the stage. I don't even remember what Bjork song this is, but this is a lot like that video, except the music is not as good because like Bjork rules, and it's like 30 times longer. I usually am a big fan of movies like Vox Lux or something like A Place Beyond the Pines. It's kind of recent indie work and other older movies, obviously, where the movie feels like two separate movies, where like at the midway point of the film, it's sort of like cleaved in twain into two separate movements of story. I like that in general. I love when a movie gets to the halfway mark and then is like, actually, we're gonna do this. Like, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of that. This movie does that. And the second part of the movie would be so much cooler and more impressive if it wasn't a 2.5 hour movie and if it wasn't already so much to take and process by the time you get there. By the time I got to like the sort of midway shift into the way the film was going, I was already like vibing with the movie. I wasn't fully on the same wavelength as it, but I was feeling it. I kind of was getting where they were going. I was willing to give them a lot more room to try different stuff. Because like I said, I watch a lot of movies that don't try anything and I'm tired of it. And the movie was doing some interesting things. There were some interesting thematic things happening where I was like, my mind was kind of picking them apart and I'm like, okay, I kind of see what you guys are doing. This is interesting. But then like Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard's characters have a baby and the baby is like a doll sort of plays the baby, like a puppet doll thing. But I thought that was like a cutesy choice early in the story that would go away or something, but I didn't realize the baby was gonna be a doll like the whole movie. So cards on the table here, full confession. I've had a very long week. I was supposed to review this movie earlier in the week. This video should have come out a couple days ago, but I've been very busy at my day job and just super burnt out, very hollowed out. And the night that I chose to watch this screener, I had half an edible laying around and I ate it because I wanted to relax. And it kicked in at this exact part in the movie, in the second half of Annette, that I'm not gonna delve too deeply into plot-wise, where it was clear to me this baby was gonna be a fucking doll puppet the whole time. And I just didn't know how to handle it. I took this picture while I was watching a screener on my monitor to share with the group chat, just so I couldn't be the only person having to engage with the fact that this was happening to me, that this is something I was watching and having to perceive. And from that moment forward, it's not that the movie lost me, it's just that I had been running with the bits for so long that even though it was going in some ways I was sort of interested in and I thought was unique, I was so tired of it. I was so over the concept and the tone that it became difficult to keep rocking with it. And I wanted to, because obviously I want to champion something that's interesting and take some chances, but it was like they were taking like too many chances. It seems a little nitpicky to kind of be like, I want movies to be different, but not that different. But this doll it was a lot, man. At first, when you first see the baby doll, I was like, oh, okay, this baby looks shittier than the one from American Sniper. That's a weird choice, but okay. But then it evolves into this more interesting creative decision that's kind of off-putting but also entrancing, and it does ultimately, I must admit, build to an interesting crescendo, but I was so tired of just trying to roll with it and see where the story was going. And the interesting things about Adam Driver's performance start to melt away a little bit the longer you sit with them, the more you're kind of like, I'm kind of over this, which does sort of work for what the film is trying to do, so I can't complain about it too much, but suffice to say, 2.5 hours of this weirdness in the songs and everything else, and it was just too much for me. And I mean, maybe it's partially my own fault for eating an edible before the movie and not thinking about how that might affect my interest and understanding of the film. And I understand that I'm probably gonna sound like a bit of a Philistine talking about it and not like fully engaging with all the ideas at play and stuff, because it just kind of got beyond me. I realized that I was very tired this week and I wanted something new. I wanted something different. I wanted something excited. I wanted something fun, but I don't think this was the right time for me to see this movie. I just don't think I was in the right place to see this movie. The one thing that ended up making me leave this movie with a little bit of good feeling about it was that the end was very good. The whole movie built to this obvious trick I should have seen coming, but it still ended up devastating me nearly to the point of tears. I was a little too high to cry. I did not cry, but I thought about crying. I felt like I could cry, and I didn't. And you know how I feel about strong endings. If a movie has a good ending, it's hard to complain about it. But 2.5 hours of this weird shit, it was just too much. Like, if it was shorter, it might have actually been a worse movie, but it would have been an easier movie for me to recommend to someone. I liked this movie. I think it's pretty well made. I get why it won awards at Cannes. I get why people are so moved by it. But I don't think I can easily recommend it to people unless you're in like a very specific and very forgiving mood. It's not a movie you can throw on like for kicks. You have to be emotionally prepared to engage with something this quirky and exhausting. You can't just like, on a whim, fire up Annette. And I think it's very good that the movie's going to be available on Amazon Prime, and then in a couple of weeks you can see it on Prime. You don't have to go to a theater. You can watch it kind of casually at home, but I'm not so sure it's the kind of movie you should watch casually at home. I think if you're interested in this, you should see it in a theater where like you're actually enclosed in the theatrical experience, and it's a little bit easier to give yourself up to the movie and just let the movie take you wherever you're going to go. I was home. I didn't have pants on. I very much wanted to just lie down and go to sleep. And you know, if I was in a theater, I might not have thought about that because that wasn't an option. I can't be pantsless and asleep in a theater. They'll send me to prison or shoot me. So, am I recommending Annette? Maybe. Maybe you should see Annette. You might dig it, but I don't want it on my conscience if you hate it. I'm not going to be the person that you decide to watch Annette and then you come back to my comment section and call me names and slurs. So unless you really like Adam Driver, unless you're like a real Raylo completist stan person, or if you're already sort of predetermined to like movies like this, don't take a risk on this one. I think you should take risks on movies. I think you should watch different stuff so we can try to help the landscape stay more diverse. But unless you watch the trailer and you think you could vibe with this, I don't think you will vibe with this. Those are my thoughts on Annette. It's on Amazon Prime on the 20th. It's in theaters now. Check it out. Maybe not. I don't know. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any thoughts about the film or Adam Driver, or if you want to convince me to watch Holy Motors or something, you can do that in the comments below. I love talking to you all. If you have not subscribed, this would be a good time to do that, to subscribe. You hit the little bell icon, you get notifications whenever I put out new videos, and we get to have fun together, which is pretty cool. Thank you again for watching. I hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, being good to yourselves and each other. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.